And welcome back. This is your man Warrior. This is another patron roster review, and this is Crixus from Sounds of Space. Now, I did message him a couple of times and did not get a response, so I'm going to go ahead and do his roster review, but I'm just going to make it a general overview. Top 12 characters he needs to focus on and top 6 ships that he needs to focus on since I didn't hear back. This should really fine-tune all of the areas of the game for him if he focuses on these 18 things that I'm going to talk about now. So let's get right into it. Let's move into the characters and talk about what 12 characters does he need to focus on. All right, so you can see that he is developing bounty hunters. That's excellent. Top row looks pretty good. The two that I would hyper focus on right now that are accessible is going to be Bosk and Dengar. You want to finish their stars from 4 to 7 stars, and then of course from 5 on Dengar to 7 stars. Focus on those two. They're both hard to kind of get, but they're both really, really worth it. In fact, those are kind of the two key elements people needed for the last Chewie event, and I noticed that you don't have the new Chewie. So those two characters, when it comes back around the Chewie event, you're going to want these two characters. Also, your first order is coming along great. You've got a Zeta on both of the Kylo Rens, so excellent, and you're doing great in development, but I notice your first order Executioner, being Cantina, is a relatively quick farm, and you've got him 5 of 7 stars, but you do have him gear 10, which means you know he's good, so just continue to develop the stars on this character. Now, Imperial Troopers do leave something to be desired, and the most important ones, in my opinion, are actually on the bottom, Stark and Range. Really, both of them MVPs, and they're now all farmable. So Snow Trooper, you've got 7 stars. I'm going to tell you to focus on getting their stars first. Once you have their stars, then you can focus on gear. This goes for all 12 characters I'm talking about. Really focus on the energy to get them 7 stars because they're not even usable in heroic stuff until you get their star level up. And then once you can participate, you'll want to raise the gear level to make sure that you can start to get more and more points out of everything that you're trying to do. So with this, you're going to want to get Death Trooper to 7 stars, General Veers to 7 stars, Shore Trooper to 7 stars, Stark and Range. That's right. There's 5 that you need to develop in here, and this is probably the spot that you need to spend the most time on. The rest of them are just 1 or 2 characters from each faction. Now, all in all, your Jedi look pretty decent. I see you're starting to get General Kenobi. You got him 6 stars, working him to 7. But I see Bastila Shan, gear 8, 4 stars. She is now farmable. Definitely going to need her in the future. And she's, in my opinion, the best lead other than maybe Grandmaster Yoda. So I would definitely focus Bastila Shan, get her stars first so you can use her in any heroic content or any event where they require a 7-star rating. As far as Night Sisters go, you're looking really good. It would depend on whether you're going to use them on offense or defense, but for offensive purposes, Mother Talzin's Zeta lead would be the best bet, and for defense, Asajj Ventress lead. Also, it depends on which phase you're going to use them in, so you really can't go wrong with either of their leadership Zetas, and eventually you might want to do both to give yourself more flexibility, but you definitely want to get Night Sister Zombie up to 7 stars, probably already an issue that you're working on. My suggestion is every character up to this point I've given you, tag them as a favorite, have them up there, and focus on all of their stars. Once you get their stars, you can then take them up to, gear 10 or so, and then you can kind of move on, but focus on the stars first. Now, as far as Rogue One, you are actually going to need them, especially in Phase 6 of the territory battles. And so while people don't really want to focus on Rogue One, they're actually a really great filler team for territory wars. I use them offensively in territory wars. Anytime somebody puts out some cheese, meaning they put out like an easy team, this is a great team to go in and just destroy an easy team with because it's got a lot of durability. But you need a Jyn Erso lead. You don't have to Zeta her lead, but you really want to get her in the leadership slot. Baze Malbus with Chirrut Imwe, and then Cassian and K2SO. And you already have Chirrut, Cassian, and K2SO 7-star gear 7. So those 3 look good so far, but you need to get the stars on Baze, Malbus, and Generso. Now, I know I'm giving you a lot of characters to star up. That's 12 of them. That's 2 full rows of like characters to deal with. But these are the most important characters out of every faction that you really need to make sure you get to 7 stars. And if anyone's wondering, Baze Malbus is still used at the highest end at Team Instinct on defensive territory war teams, literally every territory war on multiple different team comps. And so Baze Malbus, while a lot of people think he's just kind of old news, is not. And with the new Chewie coming into the game, of course, it's going to bring back new life to Chirrut and Baze for sure. Now let's switch gears and move over to ships. By the way, for Arena, you are using the top characters I feel like you have that you should be focused on, both for regular Arena and for ships. Chimera is your best for sure, and you've got Biggs, TIE Advanced, and then Crew. And I think Crew's Silencer is great because it has the ability to stun. Just note that a lot of the First Order ships work really well together. And then I also noticed that your TIE Advanced only has 4 stars. So let's go into what ships that you should focus on. So the first thing I'm going to say is, whether you're free to play, whether you're whale, whether you're anything, it doesn't really matter. Geos have the absolute best synergy of any ships in the game. And while Houndstooth puts a bit of a damper on them, and a lot of people are starting to get Houndstooth, they can still choose right through a 4-star or 3-star Houndstooth, and it'll be that way for a little while on a lot of leaderboards. So this team is amazing. Plus, you can use it on offense in Territory Wars, or use it as a defensive team in Territory Wars, and it's a great climbing team for Arena. And at the end of the day, a lot of people are now giving up on them, saying, oh, well, they're now old news, and they're not. They're just usable everywhere. So my suggestion would be to hyper focus on the Geos, and you could use them with your Chimera because they have healing capabilities, plus you'll get offense up and defense down on your opponents. A Houndstooth, even 7-star with defense down, with you having offense up, you can chew right through with your big power shots from Soldier and Spy. So you really need to make these 3 your #1 priority. Get Sunfac to 7 stars as far as his ship, and then get all of these characters geared up to at least gear 10, so that way you can really level up their abilities. Make sure you focus on the ship's unique abilities first. Max those unique abilities out. Now let's go into some other ships that are important for you to take a look at. First is TIE Advanced, probably in the top 3 best ships in the game, has been since the very beginning. Guaranteed target lock, has a dispel, can get extra turn meter on that dispel, can ability block. There's so much going on with this ship, and it's pretty decently tanky, decently speedy in comparison to some of the other ships, and it's just a solid damage dealer, very solid damage. It's kind of what I compare all the other ships to as far as when they're doing damage, whether they're doing good damage or not. But I noticed that you do not have the reinforcement ability maxed out, which I would do, because this guy coming out in your first reinforcement makes him twice as good as him just being in your initial line. So you definitely want to get that up, and you want to make sure that you get his 7 stars. You're at 4 stars on this ship right now. Now, I know you don't really want to develop this ship probably, but both of these ships I just mentioned are really critical. Cassian is in the top 3 best reinforcements ever, and you don't have any of the reinforcement material in here, so I would highly recommend you focus on the reinforcement for this ability. Get the characters. I've already said to get Generso to 7 stars, so that'll solve that, but get these characters to gear 10 will be goal, and you only need to get them to gear 10 once you're focused on them as a part of the total characters, once you've gotten all the 7-starred characters that you needed a 7-star. But this ship can dispel. There's 2 different ways it dispels, which is dispel is critical in ships more than anything, and it has a call to assist where you can call TIE Advanced, and it does massive damage, and it's a rebel ship, so it's going to have synergy with your Phantom 2 and your Ghost, which you already like and use. So definitely this is one of the top 3 ships you should be focused on. Also, as a backup tank to come in and replace Biggs when Biggs dies, Slave 1 works great, and I'm sure you're probably using Slave 1. You want to finish off his reinforcement because he's coming out of reinforcement. He really is only good coming out of reinforcement. And then I would finish leveling up his abilities. He's gear 11, so you can do all of his abilities max definitely want to get the most bang for your buck, so max this ship out. So you got Slave 1, Cassian's U-Wing, and the TIE Advance, plus all the Geos. Of all of them, I would make the reinforcement material important on Slave 1, TIE Advanced, and Cassian, and then I would make the ability mats, the Omegas, important for the Geos, uniques first, and then their basics, and then their specials. But make sure that you focus on these ships as well. That gives you 6 ships to focus on, and it gives you 12 characters to focus on. Plus, it gives you another 5 characters, four characters in ships. So really, you have about 12 characters to star, 16 characters to gear, and 6 ships you need to get to 7 stars and max abilities out. That is enough to keep you busy easily over the next 6 months. I really hope this helps you. You are in my Discord, so if you have any questions, just private message me, and I'm happy to answer anything as it comes up. As always, if you have any ideas about his roster, leave them in the comments down below, and keep your gaming on. Warrior out.